Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchins.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter in the western states of the United States, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is Bruce Hutchins, and we're heading out to Ohio and visiting with a good friend of mine, Blake Alma. Now, Blake has just written a new book, and I'm going to share the new book so you can see where the heck it is. And Blake's going to move around a lot. Why? Because he's sitting outside and he's getting bombed by mosquitoes. And that's just the way it is. Blake's new book is called An Outdoorsman's Heart. The outdoors through his eyes. And Blake Alma recently introduced, he's writing a book about his faith, conservation, and the outdoors. And it's coming out August 1st. Blake, let's jump into, why'd you write another book? You got some books out there already, and here's another one. So you're an author, you got a TV show, you got a radio show you're handing off, you got a podcast. I mean, at your age, almost 18 years old, folks, he's accomplished more than some people accomplish in 10 years and a whole decade in the outdoors. So kudos to Blake for that. But let's get to the heart of the matter. Let's talk about the upcoming book.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I was on your show, what was it, 2 years ago? With the Hunters Award, which, yeah, it was a while back. That was awesome. So I wrote that about 2 years ago, and the first time I was on your show, I hadn't had a TV show yet. I was actually I'd only had the radio show for a few months. So while beginning, I saw that there were these vegans and anti-hunters just, trolling the crap out of me, calling me these not very pleasant names. And so I wrote a book about that. So I haven't written a book in, 2 years, I guess. And so since then, I have started a TV show. It's on the Hunt Channel and Carpet TV. We interview different guests.
What's the name of the TV show?
The Outdoor Experience. It's on the Hunt Channel. The prime time is 10 a.m. on Monday, but 10 p.m. on Mondays. And we interviewed different guests, from the Duck Dynasty guys to Ted Nugent to Jim Nevashaki and stuff. And so we've interviewed, a fair amount of people on the show. So it's fun stuff. So people have always asked me, like, how did I do this or that? And my book isn't necessarily focused on how I did it, but why I did it. And I don't go into great detail about, like, the technical and the administrative work that I put into the outdoors and how I came to the place that I am now. But I tell you why I come to this outdoor lifestyle and not do what my fellow teenagers do, but be the oddball of the bunch, allowing people to come in and hate me for it, and yet still pursue this and love it with all my heart, soul, and mind. So I talk about why I like it, and I spend really 7 chapters on why I love the outdoors. So the first one is focused on my story. I talk about, my birth and kind of some of the events that took place from my birth to where I am now. I talk about my childhood real briefly. I don't go into deep detail about it because I want to save an autobiography for another day. I'm 17. I hope there's a lot more experiences coming in the future. But I do cover my childhood real briefly. I talk about how I was kind of socially awkward and like I was a He-Man woman hater, if you will. Thought girls had cooties and stuff, so I talk about that in the book. And then I talk about my teen life, and like I went to one church and went to another, being homeschooled. That was my only social life, and so that transition from being the youngest, from being from leaving our one church, going to another, and being the youngest in teen group and being picked on, and then now I was the first, and we were the founding members of that church, so I was the first kid from start to beginning to finish that teen group. And so I talk about that and my experiences there. And then, of course, I talk about my very first fishing experience with Brian May, who took me fishing when I was 12 and a half. And so that was an awesome story. I actually cried when I wrote it because it's such a emotional story to me that my parents may not be sportsmen, but this guy took me at teen camp and took me fishing. And because of that, it changed my life. I didn't see him for a few years, but when I saw him, I'm like, dude, I got some stories to tell you what that fishing experience did to my life. And so I tell that, and then I close out that chapter by explaining how I became a TV and radio host and all that fun stuff. So I close that chapter, and that's what the first chapter is about. It's called An Outdoorsman's Story. The second chapter is called An Outdoorsman's Doctrine, and I go into the spirituality, what I think of the outdoors and God, and just being in the outdoors keeps you from the things of the world, keeps you from these sins that we can avoid by being in the outdoors. I talk about some examples in the Bible there. I talk about Romans 1:20, which says the outdoors was given so that we are without excuse to believe in God. When I see a builder, I know there's a building. When I see a building, there's a builder, right? And so when I see the creation, I know there's a creator. If I told you my house is poof there by chance one day, you'd laugh at me and think of a nut job. And so the outdoors is the same way. And so I explain that, and I go to the deep spiritual doctrine of the outdoors. I call it the doctrines of creation. So that's what that chapter is about. And then chapter 3 is called An Outdoorsman's Sin, where I talk about, I get really controversial in this in that chapter. I know I'm going to step on a lot of toes. And so I talk about the grand debate between crossbows and compounds and the pointlessness of that debate. I won't debate it here because that's what the book is for. I talk about corn piles, baiting corn piles, and food plots and different things there, and how that is also, in my opinion, a somewhat pointless debate. I talk about diseases and stuff real quickly there, and kind of prove my point about corn baiting and food plots being fairly identical. Yes, they're different, but I won't go into that here. Not the time or place. But that's why I wrote the book, so I can put my opinion in it. And so then I go into, this is the one that's where I step on the most toes, and I always hesitate to say this, but I talk about how the outdoor industry uses.
Hello, we lost you. That was good. Blake, where are you? Hey, folks, we had a little glitch there. A big owl came through and messed up our bandwidth. But anyway, Blake, we're talking about baiting and food plots and providing supplemental forage, for whitetails rather than the forbs and what they have in the forest. So let's continue on that vein.
Yeah, so I mean, I tackle that in the book. I talk about, there is a big debate among hunters, and they literally get into F-bomb type of conversations about, well, you're wrong and I'm right. And I think that's absolutely unnecessary, and I explain why that is. I don't go into great detail, but I go into a little bit of detail about why it's pointless and why food plotting, this is my opinion, food plotting and corn baiting are fairly similar. And so, again, I'm 17. I don't have a whole lot of experience with this topic, but it's just my opinion. And I mean, an outdoorsman's heart, it's my heart and why I see the outdoors the way I do. And so talk about that. And then I want to step on a lot of toes here. So I know what I'm going to bring it up because I talk about it in the book, and I think it's a worthy issue to bring up. I don't like it, and I think you'd agree with me, Bruce. I don't like it when people use women as advertising thing to sell products. I hate that to its core, where they wear bikinis and whatever, trying to promote this individual product. I find it unbiblical. I find it ungodly, but then I find it just plain out retarded. And not, I put away my spiritual religious views aside. PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, aka the Retard Company, they do the same thing. They use sex to promote their agenda, you know? And we hunters are much better than that. And so, in order to be better than that, we must not act like them. And so I tackled that topic pretty. I tackle that pretty. I just hammer it. And so that's interesting. It's really controversial, I know, but again, this book is focused on my opinion. So that's chapter 3. So it's called An Outdoorsman Sin, where I tackle the harassment among hunters and some of the issues we have in this industry. It's actually one of the shorter chapters of the book. So there's not a lot of negative for me to say about the outdoor industry. The outdoor industry is one of the most perfect industries as far as getting along. Us hunters, we have this brotherhood that I love so much. And so I admire that throughout the entire book. I actually start off the book, I have an introduction, and I say how the outdoor industry is the best industry in the world, and I love it like nothing else. So that chapter is only like 4 or 5 pages long, and so it's not that long. Also, my next chapter is chapter 4, An Outdoorsman's Heritage, where I talk about getting kids back in the outdoors. Also, a reasonably short chapter because I think it's pretty simple. I'll just tell you the quick overview of what the chapter's about. It's just that I think using technology is the key way to get kids back in the outdoors in the 21st century. Past 100 years, we've seen a dramatic shift in humanity and our lifestyle. And so we went from, books and literature and education, one-on-one education, to this mass internet where everybody can go on the World Wide Web and learn about whatever the heck they want to learn about. And so I'm absolutely convinced that you have to use that which a child loves, aka technology and devices and video games and stuff, to get them back in the outdoors. Whether that's you playing a hunting video game, use that, and then they once you get the real deal, because I played hunting video games before I ever went hunting, and I love hunting, and that playing hunting video games wanted me make me want to go outside and enjoy the outdoors more, experience what hunting really is. Sure, it's not like you shoot 20 deer at once and you get a bunch of gold coins. You go out there and you obey the laws, but then the fruit of your harvest is much more than coins on a video game. You have backstraps, and you have the antler, and then you have the tenderloins, and then you have the jerky, and then you have the brisket, and then you have the ground beef, the ground venison burgers that taste absolutely amazing. So much more than gold coins in a video game. It's absolutely awesome. It's so I think using technology, whether that's you getting your kids to buy them a video game when they're young, or let's say they're 12, 13 years old and they've never gone out hunting and never showed any interest, buy them a hunting video game, and maybe they will. You got started when they're young. If they're too old, if they're 12 or 13 years old and they've lived their life without going outdoors, they won't have this natural urgency to go outside. When they are first born and they grow up, seeing you going hunting and stuff and coming in with a bag full of meat, is a God-given courtesy for them to want to go outside. As long as you nurture that courtesy, if you don't, you let it die, they won't want to. And so you can bring that back using technology, whether that's you doing YouTube videos, do funny. Be funny. If you're not funny, they're not going to watch. Do funny. I do a lot of funny ones. They're sometimes get political stupidity. Like I put a gun in a live cage trap and I caught Tide Pods, and then it's a joke. But then I talked about how you can use a live cage trap in a survival situation, or I'll be goofy talking about a knife and be like, well, this knife is good or bad, and I'll be super goofy about it and stuff like that. So try to be funny if you do a YouTube video or do a blog. Some kids don't like reading, so that one's either or. But YouTube videos and video games are a great way to get kids who are older back in the outdoors. So I encourage you as an outdoorsman who has young children to raise your kids in the outdoors. So if you don't, you're going to regret that, and they're going to grow up in a lifestyle you may not like. And so getting them outdoors builds good character and keeps them from a lot of sin that they may come to in teenage or college years that you want them to avoid. And so I speak with experience from that. Me being a teenager, I can truly attest that the outdoors has kept me from a lot of issues. And so it's absolutely. I've seen other teenagers in my life who have gone down a path that I mourn for them. And then you see on the news these 17-year-old punks that go around saying the only way to end, violence is to ban guns and yada, yada, yada. And that's obviously far from the truth, because a good guy with a gun is going to stop a bad guy with a gun. So the only way to do that is to have more guns with with good people like yourself, Brew, or me when I turned 18. My dad just bought a gun, so we have some. Guns are a great usefulness. So raising them in logic in the outdoors is a great way to raise them. So I tackle that role. It's a reasonably short chapter because it's just so basic and blunt. There's really not a lot that goes into it. It's just a natural God-given courtesy for kids to want to go back outdoors. And so, and if you don't raise them that way, you can get them back to the outdoors using technology. And so it's pretty simple and straightforward as that. So then my next chapter, we get. Is it okay, Bruce, if I get a little political?
Sure.
Okay, so my next book is called, my next chapter. Yeah, there you go. So my next chapter is called "An Outdoorsman's Conservatism." As I said in the Facebook Live video, a lot of people, like when I see that, they will think that I'm talking about conservation, like how hunters provide a huge income for public lands and keeping wildlife habitats. That's not what that chapter is about. I talk about it a little bit in the following chapter after that. But the chapter is about political conservatism, how I see this nation and where it's at now, and how the outdoors has a role with politics. In my case, I've never been able to avoid politics in my career. For whatever reason, it's always gone with what I do. Like, maybe it has to do with the vegans getting a hold of me at 14, 15 years old, calling me this or that, and it created, me getting political and situations. So I did. It just happened. And I think the outdoors and, quite frankly, conservatism goes hand in hand. That's my opinion. I think you'll find that 98+% of outdoorsmen have conservative, very moral views, religious views too. And so I tackled that quite a bit. I tackle Donald Trump. I talk about Donald Trump. I have 6 pages of his accomplishments. So I'm for Trump. I talk about gun rights. I don't tackle it from a hunting perspective. I tackle it from a common sense perspective of guns keep people alive, and here's how. From my research, every year, about in recent years, guns kill about 8,000 people through murders and suicides and stuff, or something like that. And among that 8,000, there are 3 million plus guns. Guns were the issue, you and I would be dead right now, because there's about 3 million plus people in the United States. So the 3 million plus guns that we have, I think it's actually a lot more than that. We'd be dead if it was a gun issue. All right, it's a people issue, and the people who get a hold of a gun. We ban guns; they could use another weapon, whether that's knives or heck, even bows or a hammer. Hammers kill more people than guns do, and so do knives. And so, I mean, it's just not logical. Then, like pools, people drown in pools all the time. Well, what's ban pools? What's ban cars? Because how many drunk drivers and people getting hit by cars and collisions and stuff? What's ban cars while we're at it? I just tackle it from common sense knowledge, and then I talk about freedom of speech, how that seems to be stripped away from us conservatives, but liberals can say whatever the heck they want with no repercussions whatsoever. And so I tackle that. I made a post on my Facebook page that went viral. I had like 50,000 plus shares about Colin Kaepernick and his kneeling and stuff. So I talk about that experience and all the liberals that came and started trolling me because of that post. And so that was fun. And then I tackle abortion. I'm strongly against abortion. I don't see why people kill unborn babies. So I'm not going to go into that too deep here, but I talk about the biblical reasons why the Bible does, in fact, say abortion is, in fact, wrong. Not so bluntly, but it does. It tells you how life starts in the womb and then how murder is wrong. The Ten Commandments, obviously, everybody knows that. So I go to depth there. I tackle LGBT issues. I'm not going to go into that here because I know, I mean, it's just another sin. We all sin, so I'm not going to go into that real quick. But I talk about all kinds of different conservative issues, and so I don't want to go into some of this here because I know it's a hunting podcast, but I tackle that in my book. And the theme of my book is faith, conservatism, outdoors. And so you'll see that on the front cover. And so it's really controversial, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I do that very well. And so that's what that chapter is focused on. So again, an outdoorsman's heart, my heart, the way I've seen the outdoors and why I think the outdoors has a huge role in politics. And, if this outdoor stuff doesn't work, I would not mind going to politics. I wouldn't mind.
You got a lot of years to get into that.
I know. I like it. I don't know why. I just do. I'm fascinated by how government works and how checks and balances and all these different roles from congressmen to the president to local government and mayors and governors and lieutenant governors and general assemblies of states. I find it also very interesting. And so, I mean, outdoors is my favorite thing. I love country music, I love God, I love politics. You know, it's just the four things that I really love. And so outdoors, God's the first, and then outdoors probably second. Then country music, politics. I couldn't get into country music because I can't sing. So otherwise, if I could sing, I'd be a country singer. And so I love country music. I've always been also fascinated with that industry as well. And you find that country music and the outdoors goes hand in hand. And I tackle that in my book as well. Talk about the Boy Scouts thing that's going on too. That unpleasant surprise that they're changing their name for political correctness reasons. So I tackle that. It's only like a 2 or 3 paragraphs, but so talking about different conservative issues, and so it's a very fun chapter. I poured my heart into that chapter there. Next chapter, also it's still conservative related. It's an outdoorsman's harassment is the name of that chapter, and it's about vegans and anti-hunters and how hunters should respond to the hate that we get and why the hate is so false. And so whether that's conservational issues, I actually tackle that real briefly. I just use common straight up sense of like veganism doesn't make any sense because there's no such thing as a real vegan. Your very existence as a human being kills animals. You know, the house you live in used to belong to animals, and you took their habitat. When you go to a grocery store and buy produce, when I say produce, I mean vegetables, just vegetables as a vegan, those vegetables were grown on grounds of which thousands and thousands of acres of property that used to belong to animals, and we took that from them. So, and as we know, habitat loss is the number one killer of animals, and so there's no veganism is just a mental thing. It doesn't exist. It's this cult group that's just really weird. So I use the word. Some people call themselves vegan, and they're not that type of vegan. They just don't like meat. They don't like the taste of it. I have no issues with that. More meat for me. Hey, and so I'm talking about the vegans who like troll my page and call me this or that or these horrible, awful names. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure you've gotten it too, Bruce. And so horrible stuff. So anti-hunters tackle them as well. I talk about just the hypocrisy of anti-hunters and veganism and how there's no way to be a real vegan, and you threatening my life doesn't make any sense because your goal is to protect the life, and then you're threatening mine. So you're pitting the animal over the human being? What kind of backsliding liberal crap is that? You know, it's just like it doesn't make any sense. And so I do go. I think that's my. I think it is the longest chapter. I think it's about 30 pages. I think I can't say that for sure. I think the conservative chapter is pretty long as well. But and then the outdoorsman story, the first chapter is also a longer chapter, but I think it's the longest one. So anyway, that's chapter 6. Chapter 7 is an outdoorsman's faith, where I talk about how I came to know Christ and my testimony of becoming a Christian at a young age and dedicating my life to the Lord. So I talk about how one can do that, and I talk about why it has, driven my career. And I cried when I wrote that chapter as well, because if I was not raised in a Christian home and I didn't go to a Christian camp, and I went and became an outdoorsman. I went to a Christian camp 2013, as I brought up, and I was 12 and a half, and this guy took me fishing. That would have never happened. I would not be here right now. And so it's a pretty emotional story that I really enjoyed writing. And that's the last chapter. So the foreword of the book will be written by Alan Phil Robertson. I'm sure they'll share their 2 cents worth. They haven't sent it to me yet, so I'm not sure exactly what it's going to say, but I'm looking forward to reading it. Then my co-host, Jackson Hartley, is a few years younger than me. Even though our faith is different, he's a Mormon. I'm a Baptist. The only reason I'm a Baptist because I just believe what the Bible says, and the Baptist religion seems to be the closest to that title. If Catholics believe what the Bible says, I'd be a Catholic, so I don't like to claim onto any denomination. But anyway, we have different faith views, but we do believe in getting to heaven the same way, and that's through putting your faith and trust in Jesus Christ. But he's writing the afterword to it because he will be inheriting my radio show because I can't balance both the TV show and radio show, so he's going to be taking over that. And so if something happens to me, if I get in a car wreck and die, he will be the one who will take over what I've started. And so I wanted him to do the afterword because he has the same passion that I do for the outdoors and God. And so I'm looking forward to his company. He's coming here in a few weeks, and we'll be talking about it, and he'll be writing his afterword when he's here, and so it's fun stuff. So that's the book. That was a lot of detail, and I'll go into even deeper detail in the book, of course. And so I I loved writing it. I just finished writing it about a week, 2 weeks ago, I guess. And so it's on pre-order now. It's
How did they get it?
$12.99.
Give us some.
Yeah.
Somewhere
So it's on BlakeAlmaBook.com. Alma is spelled ALMA, like alma mater, mater. BlakeAlmaBook.com. It's on pre-order. It's $12.99, free shipping. The book's about 160 pages, and then plus whatever Jackson and Phil and Al Robertson add on to it. And I don't know if you can put the cover up, but the cover looks amazing in my opinion. I was so excited. It's me standing in front of American flag wearing my iconic camo hat that I'm not wearing right now. Then me wearing like a camo jacket, holding a bow in my hand, having the American flag behind me. It's just, I think it paints a really cool picture of what the book's about. Did I lose you there? Oh no, I see. It's you're just switching out the website there. And so, yeah. So there's the painting part of it right there. And so you see, I'm kind of sad and distraught with what America's up to these days. But then I tell you in the book how you can make it right with the Lord, and then being a conservative outdoorsman. And so there's nothing better than a Christian conservative outdoorsman, in my opinion. And so I go to that. It was just such a fun book to write. So it's $12.99, BlakeAlmaBook.com. Awesome cover. Awesome content, forward by Phil and Al Robinson, starts with Duck Dynasty, afterward by my co-host Jackson Hartley, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Free shipping, like I said. If you pre-order, you will get it signed. Woohoo, you get a signed copy. Apparently, people find that super exciting when the author signs something. And I'm like, it ain't ever going to be worth anything, unless we run for president, which I wouldn't mind doing. As you know, I like politics, but that won't be anytime soon. It'll be 35. So, but anyway, I go. It's a great deal, honestly. $12.99 free shipping, and I know the book's a little bit shorter, but $12.99 doesn't mean it costs for shipping, and then I have to ship the books to me, and then I have to pay for the actual book. So $12.99, I'm not making much of a profit off of it, but it sure does help me out since I'm turning 18, and finances have become quite. I have to make financial decisions, so it definitely helps me out. So BlakeAlmaBook.com, and then. We're just talking about this. There is a promo code. I made a special promo code for anybody that listens to Right Tail Rendezvous. The promo code is Bruce, all caps, BRUCE, capital letters, Bruce. Type it in at checkout. You get 10% off, which I think is about $1.50. And so then it would only cost, what, $10 or so, $10.50 or something like that. So use promo code Bruce. If you're listening to this podcast or see it online, use promo code Bruce at checkout, and you'll save a few bucks off. So I always appreciate what Bruce and his Whitetail Rendezvous has done for me, and all the things he does for everybody else. I mean, he interviews so many people and get the word out there for so many other outdoorsmen who are trying to make a difference in this industry. So I really appreciate that. So use promo code Bruce and all caps at checkout at BlakeAlmaBook.com for an outdoorsman's heart. So I'm excited about it. So I appreciate what you do, Bruce.
Well, I'm excited just to be your friend and to watch this journey. We've commented enough on that.
It's fun.
With that, on behalf of over 250,000 listeners across North America, I'm excited just to see where the heck you go. And I would not be surprised at some time you're in the Capitol. That would not be a surprise at all.
Yeah,
that would not.
I would love that.
That would not
That's
surprise
like the
me.
ultimate dream. Yeah.
Well, you know how that works. So that being said, we're going to close this episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Look for it real quick. And remember, Blake, how do they order your book?
BlakeAlmaBook.com. Go pre-order. Type in promo code Bruce at checkout. Get 10% off. Cost $10 or like 50 cents then. Get the book at BlakeAlmaBook.com. So I'd really appreciate, guys, if you did that. So it's awesome stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's reaction to the book. So it's fun. I appreciate you, Bruce.
Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.